Hey, it's Mr. Roboto. So very quickly, a September 2nd trade review. I'll go over QQQ and what my thesis was for the day. And then I'll go over my morning trades. I had Apple and Microsoft puts and why I took those. And then through close to the end of the day, I ended up taking Apple calls during the market reversal. So again, let's start off with QQQ. And my thesis for today, I was pretty bearish going into the day. And why was that? Well, it's very simple. So we had this shooting star candle form yesterday. Anytime I see that, that's pretty much this tells me that the buyers tried to buy it up, but the sellers quickly took over and they brought the price down, and they ended the day red. So very bearish candle for me, and followed up with the sort of bearish candle the day before, and the fact that the market is sort of just overextended. I was very, very bearish going into the day. So my plan of attack was to sort of take a look at overextended stocks, and especially overextended stocks that ended poorly, like relatively poorly yesterday. And those are the stocks that I'm looking to take puts on um, uh, once they meet their resistance in the morning or at a supply zone in the morning. So the two candidates I had this morning were Apple and Microsoft puts. So let's take a look at Apple first. So the reason why I wanted to take puts on Apple was because if you look at how Apple did yesterday, one second. If you look at how Apple did yesterday, it had again another shooting star candle, very exaggerated shooting star candle. So my plan going into the morning was, I'm gonna let Apple run. If it runs in the morning, and then I'll short it or I'll take calls at the first supply zone. And that's exactly what ended up playing out. So I ended up having these zones on Apple. So you can see on the first off on the 30-minute supply. So I didn't see anything. This is the hourly. I didn't see any zones here that I like. Usually I'll start on the hourly. If I don't see anything, then I'll move down. I'll move down to the 30-minute. And on the 30-minute is where I found a zone that I liked. And all of this is done the night before. I do this the night before. Sometimes I'll go over. I'll go over it again in pre-market to see if anything has changed. But all of this is planned out from the night before. So on the 30-minute, I found this green basing candle. So when I'm looking for supply zones, I'm looking for green candles. When I'm looking for a demand zone, I'm looking for red candles. But so I found this green candle, and this is what I liked, and this was a clear supply zone to me. So I took the open of this green candle and I drew it all the way up to the top, and this was my 30-minute supply zone. Um, and yeah, so that was going to be essentially if Apple shot up to this supply zone in the morning, I would be and it looked like it wasn't going to like slice through it or like like just bust through it in the morning, and it looked weak and it met a lot of resistance. This is where I would like to take puts. And so we can see exactly where that what happened. So this was yesterday. This was today. This was the 30-minute supply zone. So I wasn't worried about this rally. Like yeah, Apple ended very poorly yesterday, but I wasn't worried about this rally at all. And the reason being is because over time you see this happen all the time. You have a very bearish day, but some I guess less experienced bulls will come in and try to bring it up because they see this dip, but they're not looking at the overall picture. And the overall picture on Apple is it's overextended, right? So a lot of bulls will actually buy this up thinking this is a good dip, but to me, it wasn't. This was not a good dip to buy. I mean, yeah, you could have bought this and sold right here. That would have been perfect. But if you're trying to long Apple here for like a week or two, I don't think this is a good entry. But so yeah, I wanted Apple to run up. The more it ran up, the better my puts were going to be, as long as Apple didn't make a higher high, right? And that's exactly what it failed to do. So it hit this 30-minute resistance that we drew, and you can see all of these. This is the 2 minute, but you can see all of these top wicks into this demand zone. Anytime I see wicks like that, that's pretty much buyers trying to bring it up, and the sellers are stuffing them and bringing it right back down. And it's a little bit different if they brought it, if the buyers were able to bring it to the top of this zone, but they weren't able to. Like they weren't even anywhere close to testing yesterday's high of day. So this was a perfect, very, very good entry for calls. I actually took a call here, and then I took the rest of my calls right around here when I saw that it was breaking down. You see these lower lows on these candles, or these lower highs on these candles, these top wicks, and the fact that it was at the very like start of my 30-minute supply zone. This to me was screaming, take puts. So that's exactly what I did. This was a supply zone that I had previously. I don't think I played off of the supply zone. We'll see. I may have just, yeah. So this wasn't here yet. Yeah, I didn't really play off of this supply turn demand. I actually took my first covers a little bit lower. I took my first covers right around here. Um, right around here is where I took my first covers. And my plan was, I thought that Apple was going to go all the way down to here. And the reason, into this demand zone. And the reason why I thought that, so let's go ahead and remove this, because um, the reason why I thought Apple was going to go down as low as this was because, you know, I'm already bearish on the day, and Apple failed to make a higher high. Do I really think it's going to stop right here and like shoot up from here? Like, is it more, does it make more sense for it to go lower and test a lower low than to like stop in the middle of no man's land and shoot up? To me, it makes way more sense for Apple to keep going lower. Plus, if you're looking at QQQ, the overall market, was very bearish also. So I didn't take all of my covers here. I scaled here because it was a demand zone, so I did scale here, but very small. And I ended up taking most of my scales actually right here on this bounce is where I took most of my scales. Because my plan was I was going to take these puts, and then I was going to flip and go long on the day, and I'll show you how we ended up doing that. So yeah, this was my Apple pretty much puts for today. Very very happy with this trade. I got really good entries, and I scaled out pretty well, I thought. I did actually I scaled out some more here. I actually got, on this rally up. I remember I sold one of my contracts here, and I'm trying to get better at not doing this. This is actually a good, like, potentially a good ad spot as opposed to actually covering here. So this was actually just you're kind of scared, or your emotions get the best of you and you cover here. But yeah, so now let's take a look at Microsoft. So Microsoft did the same thing. I took puts on Microsoft this morning too. And the reason why was, if we look at the daily, again, very bullish, very bearish candle from yesterday. Again, another shooting star, failed to make a higher high, and coupled with the overall market looking weak, I thought Microsoft was a prime candidate to take puts on at any at the first supply zone. And let's see how I got these supply zones. So I had this 1 hour supply zone on Microsoft. I got it from this green basin candle. Drew my 1 hour supply zone here. And then there was another 1 hour supply zone that I ended up taking, that I ended up drawing. And this was actually the one that, was perfect almost. So there's this green basin candle here. So we had this rally and it shot down and then it based for about an hour, or it based for an hour. And then they brought it back down. So this tells me that, this level, there's a lot of sellers here. The price tried to rally up here, met a lot of resistance from sellers, and they brought the price down. So I took the open of this green basin candle and to the top of it, and that's another 1 hour supply zone. So let's see how these supply zones helped us out at open today. And it helped us out almost perfectly because look at, this was yesterday. This was the 1 hour supply zone. Microsoft, again, this is bearish from the day before because Microsoft didn't even test the high of the supply zone. It wasn't able to make a higher high. So very, very bearish even from yesterday. Again, we had this, this rally overnight. Not worried about it at all. I'm still bearish on the day. And look at this. Look at where Microsoft got stuffed. It got stuffed at this 1 hour supply zone that we drew previously. And unlike Aapl, it actually went all the way up to the top of this this supply zone, and that's fine because right after that, it didn't pierce through it. It didn't test this the highs of this level numerous times. Let's go to the 5 minute here. Look at this. If you're watching it from the 5 minute, this wick up into this zone, and then they brought it right back down. That's very bearish to me. I actually ended up taking call puts right around here. And then I actually took puts on this one early. I took a put on this first 5 minute candle right around here. Pretty early, but again, that was just a starter position. It ended up going down. I thought about scaling out really quick, but then it shot back up. I didn't panic. It shot up and then it hit the top of the zone. I didn't panic. This is actually the best entry that I had all day. For Microsoft, I didn't panic, but I actually didn't take my full size because I thought there was a chance that Microsoft was just going to slice through this zone. So I didn't take full size. I did take a more contracts here, but it was probably about half size. And then I took one more contract right around here. This is a pretty poor entry, but it was kind of chasing it at this point because I wanted to get more contracts in. At this point, I'm about 2/3 of my normal size at this point. And my target for Microsoft the entire day was pretty much this 4 hour demand zone. And the reason being was because there was no other demand zone that I could see. It was basically this. This is not a demand zone because there's no rally here, and all of these other zones are sort of used up already. So this was actually my target the whole time. The huge rally here, and this is the red basing candle prior to the rally. So this was my supply zone, and I actually got this off of the 4 hour. This is my demand zone. I actually got this off of the 4 hour, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So here's the huge rally, and this is the green basin candle, and this is on the 4 hour. So this is how I got my 4 hour demand zone. This was my target all day for Microsoft. I didn't see any level between this supply zone and this 4-hour demand that Microsoft could potentially bounce from. And if we'll see, very weak bounces. All of these little bounces here, you got to kind of just let the stock do its thing. Very early on in my trading career, I would let these bounces like scare me, and I'm like, oh, I need to start covering or whatnot. This, as long as you're continuing to make lower lows and you're not making higher highs, you can sit through the trade pretty comfortably, especially if you have your target all the way down here. If your target's all the way down here and the overall market is bearish, it looks bad, and you see this bounce right here, like, you got to get very comfortable sitting through this bounce and just having confidence in your analysis of Microsoft or the stock and the overall market. And I was very confident in my analysis of the overall market. So, these little bounces, I'm not worried about them at all. They're actually good ad spots if you want to add into your winners. So right around this was my target 4-hour demand, but right around this time, QQQ was also like starting to reverse, started seeing seller exhaustion in QQQ. So I took my covers on Microsoft right around here, and I think I believe I covered most, if not everything, on Microsoft right around here. I just took it all off. It was a smaller position than normal, so it wasn't worth my time to try to you know, maximize my profits. I was already very happy with the move that I was able to get out of Microsoft. So I covered everything right around here on this little bump or this little spike right here. And then the second plan that I had going into the day was to play the reversal. I've seen these like QQQ days where it just sells off all day, all day, all day, and then eventually you're gonna get a huge rally. And this happened in Tesla the other day, and I didn't want to miss this sort of move again. So if we look at Tesla, we're a little sidetracked here, but I just want to show you what happens if you can catch the rally. Look at this. So Tesla just sold, 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 sold in a huge rally. So there's a huge opportunity if you can catch these stocks at a demand zone. There's a huge opportunity to capitalize. So going into the day, I really wanted to capitalize on this move, and we will see where I thought QQQ was going to bounce. So if you look at the hourly, these were the zones that I had going into the day. So I had a used 30-minute demand zone. So anytime a demand zone has already been used, I'm less likely to think that the price is going to bounce there again. It doesn't mean that it won't. A lot of demand, like especially a strong demand zone, will get used over and over and over. But I factor that in, and either I size less on that trade, or I really wait for price confirmation. Either way, I'm just a little bit less wary about taking calls in a used demand zone. So this was the demand zone, and it was used because it's already bounced here before. So it's already bounced here before, so it's already been used up. But I didn't have another zone. So this was yesterday. I didn't really have another zone that I could draw. So again, this was potentially my target for where QQQ was going to bounce. I didn't really think it was going to bounce here, and my analysis was pretty correct. There was another 30-minute demand zone right here that I thought would be good, if a good target. So let's see how that played out intraday. Intraday, this was the used demand zone, and you can see that the price did actually bounce here. Like, check this out. It bounced here almost perfectly. But this bounce was very weak. Let's go to the 5-minute. And it's easier to do, to me, it's much easier and it's much more accurate to do volume price analysis on a larger time frame, at least a 5 minute, at least for me. So let's do some VPA here. So you can see there's some, these candles are all fairly the same size. This is the same size as these. These are all fairly the same size. And you can see that, this is a very small volume, small volume, small volume. And then you get this huge volume here, but the candle kind of stays the same. And then again here, or the candle body kind of stays the same size as this one. So yeah, you can kind of say there's seller exhaustion. But again, being a used demand zone, I was really waiting for like confirmation, and there's no way I'm gonna buy at the top of a used demand zone. So I waited, I waited, I waited, and I think I tweeted right around here that, let's watch this zone. It might bounce here. But then I was made sure to let everyone know to be cautious that it could go lower. And I actually, in the Discord that I'm in, I said, hey, I think there's going to be one more leg down before I'm looking to take any calls. And this is where I covered Microsoft. Remember that small bounce in Microsoft? This is where I covered because of this small bounce. And I took the rest of my Apple puts off here also. And sure enough, the price just sliced through this zone. So the minute I see this, I'm like, okay, we're going lower. A little bounce and then it goes lower. And then this is actually where I went ahead and now I'm pretty confident that we have seller exhaustion. Now I'm looking for a good entry. Um, so we look at we look at this candle right here. Look at on the 15-minute. Look how much volume there is here. So you would expect this candle body to be like really large in comparison to the other ones. But this candle body is pretty small. Yeah, there's a long wick here, but that means the buyers bought this up, and the candle body that resulted from the buyers was very small in comparison to the volume on this 15-minute candle. So this told me that there's some seller exhaustion going on, and the fact that there's confluence with this 30-minute demand zone that I had identified. This sort of told me that um, it may be a good time to start entering some longs. And that's essentially what I did on Aapl. I ended up taking, I'm going to delete these arrows real quick. I ended up taking some calls right around here. I actually got the bottom, and then I took some more calls right around up here on this green candle, and then I think I tweeted out. Let's see. 1 second. Let me pull up this picture that I did. So you can see here, this was actually, so this is the DOS Trader platform. I do all my charting on Thinkorswim, but I actually do my trading and execution on DOS. But this is right around where QQQ was bouncing. I took my calls here. I took some more up. Like I said, I took some more. Yeah, I took some down here, and then on this candle, I took a little bit more up here, and then I ended up covering. I actually covered right around here, and then I took the rest of my covers up here. So this really made my day. This was a really good good long, and took some calls. And so yeah, I was very happy. I did not expect Apple to go up this much. My target was actually right here in this supply zone. So this was actually my target, and that's where we got to. So all this extra stuff, all this extra bullish movement was just, icing on the cake for me. So yeah, that was it. That was essentially my plan of attack for today. It was very, very bearish. I wanted to take puts at open, and we ended up taking puts at open. And then I wanted to play the reversal, and we ended up playing the reversal. So it was very good day for me. I did take some smaller trades. I played BA on the breakout of it's 22274. So when I saw BA slice through this key level, I ended up taking some scalps. I entered here and I sold here, and then I took a small paper cut on my last remaining contract right around here. So it was a decent, just a base hit type of trade. Um, and then I took one other trade that I don't even remember now, but it was another base hit type of trade. So that's it essentially. Again, all this preparation was done the night before. I had all my levels already drawn the night before. I had my plan of attack already predefined. I had the contracts that I wanted to buy predefined and queued up, ready to execute when the setup presented itself and the triggers happened. So again, all of this is done ahead of time. If you just wake up in the morning and you take a look at Twitter and take a look at calls, and try to follow people and their calls, you're gonna be like 10 steps behind. You're not going to understand the context of the market. You're not going to understand the context of the ticker that you're playing, and you're not going to have as much of an edge as someone who has prepared and really done their homework the night before. So that's it for me. And again, if you have any questions, my DMs on Twitter are open. I know a lot of you have reached out about my past couple of videos and had some questions. So I believe I've answered all the questions so far. But again, if you have any more questions, my DMs are open, and looking forward to hearing from you guys. And I love any feedback about these videos. If there's anything that you guys think I can be doing better, just let me know. And yeah, have a nice night.